things that say about the rape
Listen. We live in a democratic society where it's innocent until proven guilty, and I think my brother and I are largely misunderstood. There's a lot of opinions about us, a lot of things that go around about us on the internet. We've yet to be convicted of any crime in our lives ever. We have no criminal record anywhere on the planet ever. Our case was dismissed on the 19th of December in Romania under the Biden administration. And our prosecutor recently decided, because we have no active indictment in court, to let us go and return. This is a democratic society. It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, as my brother and I are. And I think it's extremely important that we stop allowing media spin, wrap-up smears, lies, or carefully constructed narratives from George Soros-funded operations trying to destroy the reputations of good people who have no intention to do anything other than follow the law.
Influencer Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have flown to the US after Donald Trump's aides cut a deal to end their ban on leaving Romania. The pair, who are facing sex trafficking allegations, supported Trump during last year's presidential campaign. Now, sources in the Romanian capital, Bucharest, have told The Sun that the Tate's travel restrictions have been officially lifted after intensive US lobbying. The new director of the FBI and close Trump aide Kash Patel was said to have played a key role in these talks. The brothers left their home in Romania at the first opportunity and boarded a Gulfstream G550 private jet bound for Fort Lauderdale in Florida at 5:30 a.m. this morning. The source told The Sun they've been allowed to leave on the condition that they come back for court hearings and cooperate with the investigation. But the Bucharest source also said legal experts in the country are confident the charges against the brothers will be dropped, as they believe the case against them is flawed. They also revealed that the Tate's takeoff was delayed because the court's decision to release them from house arrest had not actually been entered into the computer at the airport. Earlier, an image began circulating on social media showing Tristan waving as he boarded the jet, but it is still unclear if the picture is actually from today. Romanian Special Prosecutor Service, DICOT, who have been leading investigations against the Tates, have now released a statement of their own. They made it clear both of the brothers are still under investigation and the case has not yet been dropped. They also said the pair must return to Bucharest later this year to adhere to terms of their judicial controlled status. Andrew and Tristan Tate were arrested in Romania 3 years ago after moving from the UK. They still face a number of serious charges, including rape, trafficking minors and money laundering. The pair deny all allegations, and according to local media, their next court hearing is scheduled for March.
Their case is not over. To believe that their case is done or that anyone's taking it lightly is making a mistake. They were released already. They're already being released in Romania. They were released, but they were being monitored. The crimes are very vile and disgusting. However, the standard of proof is the same as we have in the U.S. They have to be proved guilty. So there's innocent until proven guilty. The bail status change allowed them to travel to the United States. If they failed to return, their bail that they posted would be lost. They could be tried in their absence, or we call it tried in absentia, which means they could have the trials without them present, or they could be extradited for trial. I don't know what all the extradition rules are between Romania and the United States, but I imagine that since the prosecutors consented to them being outside the country in the EU, then that means that they have a mechanism to get them back. I believe we probably have an extradition treaty with Romania to return them if they do not return on their own. So there would be a mechanism for that. They would probably try to extradite them first because you want to get the body there and they have a right to defend themselves. So they would voluntarily ask them to return. They would then seek forced extradition. And if they failed, then they would try them in absentia if it was in our country. Not that familiar with Romania's laws, but I would believe if the prosecutors allowed them to leave the country, there has to be a mechanism to get them back to the country, not just based on their word that, hey, we're coming back. The agreement and the law of extradition probably allows them to come back, to force them to come back to their country because of the seriousness of the crimes. One thing to note is the initial allegations were in 2022, and then some additional ones have come forward. A judge in the case said that the charges had some factual flaws or legal flaws, and the prosecutors were able to correct those. So there's a few things going on at the same time. But again, I stress these are very serious charges. So my understanding is that the victims' lawyers are going to make a plea to the United States to not allow them to be harbored here indefinitely, but to have to return for trial or other proceedings. I don't know how much money they may have put up in bail to secure their return, but I'm imagining that the prosecutors took into account that the first charge by a judge was found to have some legal impediments, but the judge allowed them to refile or rebring the charges. So I think that probably played a role in the prosecutors feeling that the case wasn't as solid as originally thought. But you have to remember the 22 charges have now had additional accusations. So there's actually more charges. But again, individuals are presumed, as in this country, that they're innocent until found guilty or until they plead guilty. So I think that would probably play a role, the strength of the charge or the belief that maybe it's not as strong as originally thought. It's very serious. There's no excuse or defense for this type of conduct if they are indeed found guilty. Human trafficking is very serious around this world and around our country as well. So I think that they are pursuing them not based on their notoriety or their status, but they're pursuing them based on the nature of the crime. So my belief is that they've targeted the crimes, which are very serious, vile, and disgusting, and not the individuals. So that being the case, I don't believe the status or the position or the fact that they're influencers have affected the prosecutor's ability to move forward. I think that if there is issues, they have to be factual or legal. This case is not over. I do think that they should take these very serious, because if they are extradited or if they do return and if they are found guilty, then those penalties are very severe. So it's not a joke. I think it's interesting that the victims' lawyers are advocating for them so publicly. I think that that's a reflection of, much like our P. Diddy Combs case in this country, where a lot of the victims and the lawyers for the victims have come forward and are pressuring to keep the heat on so the case doesn't get a big plea bargain or doesn't get dismissed. And I think that these charges, as I've said several times, but it's important to know, these are very serious charges. I mean, short of murder, trafficking human beings and for the purpose of sex and rape are very vile crimes, and they should be treated that way. And again, based on what I've read, I have no doubts that the prosecutors in Romania are doing what they think is appropriate and seeking justice for the victims and prosecution of individuals they think committed these crimes.